Okay, that should it be me? Crap. Hello. Welcome. Wow. Mojo. Drive safe. Okay. Cool. Getting used to this. Yep. Apex. Thank you for the look. Appreciate it. Yes, the hair needed cutting. Good to go. Not actually make any change. We'll see. So back to it. Feels weird. So I've gone for the wireless mic, and it looks like it's audible properly. Yeah. So um, it's quite strange to get used to. I'm used to having the microphone in front of my face, so I'm used to coding without it, but at the same time, streaming without a microphone off to the side is kind of weird. Feels like I've got something with. Anyway, that off. Monitor viewers, healthy. Um, okay, so what am I working on today? I have been tinkering, continuing my efforts to um, introduce better practices into the project. Um, got the some integration stuff, some unit tests working the other day after stream. So now have data flowing through the application better way, which is definitely uh, progress, if slow. And then I turn my attention to making sure the planning backlog was functioning properly. So now we have the ability to set the alignment, and now when we edit, and we can set the alignment actual, we save that. It should stay there. I actually managed to, again with the help of the robots, figure out that the problem with this was that I was sorting it by last updated to the end. So when I changed one of these, it got sorted to the end of the list, and that's what moved it down. Um, that resulted in that disappearing. So now it doesn't resort; it will maintain this. If I change technically, if I change the review date, it should shift up the list or down the list further, right? So if I move this to the let's do this to April 1st. Save that. It should, yeah, it now moves up there, which is exactly correct. Right? It's working as intended. Um, so what am I going to do? What am I doing tonight? I need to finish up the refactoring of deliverables. So what I've done in the last couple of days is I have gone through and renamed concepts. Where do I go from here? So the item that you produce to track work against in the system is a deliverable. In no matter which way you look at it, from my perspective, again, I'm still working on this terminology. I'm making sure that I'm testing it and using it as much as I can. But the concept is that you have a deliverable. A deliverable is something that you can deliver that has many facets potentially to it, but ultimately it will result in a product or a piece of a product being delivered to a customer. So the deliverable is kind of a consolidating thing. What I previously called this was planning items. Planning items is kind of vague, doesn't give me an image as to what it is. It suggests that there's a list of them and that they are unattached. So planning items is the old screen. Now I've moved that to the backlog, and that is deliverable. And a deliverable has requirements. A deliverable has expectations, business justification, right? There's why are we doing this thing, or who is it assigned to, etc. So deliverable fits better in the language. And the concept is you form an initiative, and when you're forming the initiative, you establish what are your deliverables from that initiative. Once you've established the deliverables, you understand the requirements for each deliverable, and then you can go and plan that work out and get that into implementation. Once it's completed through implementation, those tasks are are collected and put into a delivery state where you can then complete the delivery and your deliverable is delivered. So I'm very much focused on that. Um, what I need to do is complete my refactoring of the system to change the concept of deliverables. In the planning area of the application now, we no longer have a planning item, we have a deliverable. I still have these events. I need to go through and rename. Um, so press by, so we have these. Actually, let's make sure I don't have any commit. I do. Yeah, I don't want to do them all as one massive. So these are me renaming the deliverables into their current form and the scripts required. So I've even changed the data schemas. What I've done is I've left the schemas in line with everything else. So what I mean is it's a script that modifies this. So even if you were to build the system, if I build the system from scratch, it's going to create a planning items table, do everything it needs to do, column adds, etc., on it, and then rename it to deliverables later on, and add the extra columns and the making. And the reason I chose to do that is because I didn't want to mess around with wrapping all that history um, and trying to rebuild all the scripts from scratch. I figured it was better to just do it that way as a kind of a migration. Now we have the planning database. This was previously called planning item. And I'm still going with the ls prefix right now because I've got CT and ls as prefixes to indicate the different pieces of the system overall. CT is control tower, that is the backend management pieces. And now we have deliverables and deliverable dependencies. So deliverables is the same table. Obviously, I've renamed columns on things to have deliverable ID instead of um, planning item ID. So I'm just going through that effort of large change away from that language. So again, tests, I've renamed tests, I've deleted tests, I've organized some tests differently. I also chose to reorganize some of the stuff in here at this time. Um, if I keep looking up there and there, it's because I have a YouTube on. Actually, I should test YouTube. Um, yes, it does. So, I have yet to figure out how to get StreamerBot to. Okay, I'm not messing with bots. I'm done with bots. Hi Melineth, welcome in. Go in. How did things go last night? Um, I decided I'd try and use StreamerBot. Turns out, I was equally impressed with it as the last time I did it. Won't hook up to Twitch properly. Won't join the chat. So yeah, went great. Got both projects in a good spot. Nice, nice. Good to hear. Okay, so yeah, so we're renaming everything in here, everything in the concepts to from planning item. You're still going to take its sweet time. So this is my project now. This is now named Kaizu, real name. Rambling Geek, thank you very much for the prime. Appreciate it. So the final name for Liquid Sky is Kaizu. Actually, I should have led with that when Trap said hello. I should have pointed out that I renamed it finally. It's no longer named after a movie. Conjuring up all the wrong pictures. Yeah. Yeah, we have Kaizu, final name product. And it means C chart in Japanese. It has a direction. There is a plan. So what I'm doing is again renaming a whole lot of things, getting rid of the concept of planning item, moving things around, making this next phase is going to be a more destructive one. We're going to have to wipe out all our test data as I move towards phase. So here, shifted planning deliverable. See, they're still in the folders. Um, I should rename the folders before planning. Planning item. As always, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing as I go along, join in. Perfectly okay. Planning it. Planning item. This concerns me that I didn't do a lot of testing around planning item added. This is one of the things where doing this on stream, getting bogged down in the nuances of unit testing makes me feel more uncomfortable. I end up writing tests after the fact a lot of times. It's not something I want to do. PDD does feel a little bit more um, correct, but at the same time, I'll continue that justification when I'm confident I can add the test. And the code I'm writing again is small enough. That's that. Evening. I did say evening. And I said thank you very much for the time sub. Appreciate it. A lot of it is just making code that is testable. So as long as you're doing that, yeah, yeah. And again, my code is smaller. It kind of break up things into small pieces. Didn't think it sent. Ah, Twitch playing games. Let's not. On. Okay. Moving. Planning. Concept. But that's hello. How you doing? Welcome in. That's hilarious. So StreamerBot has the Twitch events. It doesn't have the chat in it. Working late. I mean, when I get back into streaming, can't do every single morning. And my new job means that my hours are not as free as they were previously. Um, but I can make an evening stream of. Well, my new streaming hours will be 8:30 Eastern, Monday and Thursday, and 6:19 Wednesday night. I think that fits with other streams I watch. Hope I don't overlap too much. I like watching. I don't think I missed out on any. Good to be back. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Um, Hopefully to make a lot more progress. I've got my energy back a little bit. Well, I've got my energy back a lot for coding. New job, new scenery, new effort there. I still have some health issues I'm dealing with, but I can deal with them now. I've got the energy for coding, so not as distracting. So that's why I'm back streaming. Anyway, I really don't need a life history. How removing planning items as a concept, replaced with deliverable language. That's essentially what I've done there. Add unit testing, updates. Uh, Sons, hello. How you doing? Welcome in. Even remembered post I was going to stream. Posted that I was going to stream and posted that I was streaming. Oh, good. I understood. Fine. If you want to talk to me, it's fine. Um, okay. We get to deliverables. Now we get to the harder piece. So not only do we have the events to read, these are domain events. These are events that are transferred locally within this context. So the worst that happens when I do this next piece is I have to clear out the tables for um, the outboxes because I couldn't possibly replay an event. I lose all that event replayability, which is fine. Again, these sorts of things are worth figuring out at this point. If I was doing this in a production system, this would be a little bit more destructive. I'd have to consider the knock-on impact of doing this. Now, in reality, I'm not going to replay those outbox events. Those outbox events have been processed, have been done. But if I change this and there's pending events, I would end up with a serialization problem because it wouldn't be able to deserialize back out and process them. So this would be something where I have to consider the impact of change, but I couldn't put this system live till the outbox isn't fully processed. Um, Now, that being said, when I say that, so on planning of outbox, so I've isolated the schemas out for these things now. So the schema for the outbox stuff is all isolated from data stuff, and the notification outbox into which these events, these planning item created events, would go. If they fail, they'll try 3 times and go to the dead letter queue, and there's no requeue of that. So if in reality this system, let's say this system was live now, I would have a bunch of dead letter messages that were failing anyway. Um, Now again, I probably do need to track somewhere the actual exception that goes with it. Probably do need to consider that, what that means. Um, but right now, there should only be messages that have processed or would be in the act of processing when I do that. So, um, if I was going live, it would be my responsibility to 6th of June 2024. Are the outbox in there? Wow. Okay. Almost 1,000 messages to myself on a test system. Anyway, so yeah, it would be my responsibility to make sure these were clear, that there was no problems before I brought the system down and brought up the updated version. So, but luckily, I don't need to worry about that already. And again, the same for the Kafka thing would apply. If I make any changes to the Kafka outbox, I do need to make sure that these events are now fully processed. And in this case, they'll need to be processed on all consumers. Frank, hello. How you doing? How did your stream end up? And I copied you. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. So, okay. So for those of you new to the stream, um, this is Kaizu, formerly known as Liquid Sky. It is my project management and planning application that I've been building for over a year and a half now. The concept, the focus of it is to get to delivery of product through the ideas phase, through the planning phase, and the implementation, right through to delivery of the actual software. Right this second, I'm working on this concept of deliverables. Deliverables are kind of the coordinating uh, resource for requirements gathering and stuff. This comes from my dislike of using Jira. I think Jira is a little bit too permissive and open and flexible, and I'm trying to be a little bit more opinionated and focused on still teams, still building out for teams, not based for solo developers. But this is Kaizu anymore. I'll get there eventually. Um, I've been working on this now for quite a while. So what I'm currently in the act of is going through and renaming the backend. If you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, I've been in the stream before. I'm more than welcome to share. I am open to discussion. I'm happy to derail and detour if there's something to learn or benefit from. And then go. So feel free. Okay, so we need to rename these events. When we get to the Kafka pieces, like I was just saying, Kafka pieces will be more destructive because you'd have to wait for the entire system to be in check before you could actually rename the events there. Or you introduce new events so you don't, you know, I don't have to worry about the strategy there because I'm going to wipe out the system anyway. And when I put this live on the test system again, when I finally get to that point, that people can log in and play with it, um, I'll be I'll be wiping everything out and starting it out all over again. So it doesn't hurt me to do that sort of stuff right now, but you should always keep it in the back of your mind. I feel you should always understand the cost of doing something. In case it would be um, this act. So I'll be gradually going back through some of these things, and I'm sure I will leave things left as planning item, like comments on planning item. We'll come back around to that after. Actually, probably do that from the front end and make sure that's working. That's a good. That keeps me in the UI and people. What I'm doing right this second is I'm testing my feelings on organization of um, like this is planet. These have been moved up into deliverables, and what I'm getting rid of is this endpoints thing. The endpoints is neither here nor there. These are the actions. So on deliverables, I can create and I can update. Right. So I'm playing around. You see, this is called post. That should be called create. Right. I'm playing around with the second time Ryder's doing that to me today. Oh, it's because I'm still. Ryder does not like doing a rename dialog when you are running the code. I don't know why. As it's no longer running and still not doing it. Very strange. It's not going to hurt me to do that myself. Type of it. This is the HTTP action, so this is why that's still post. And yeah, so that's a create. That's an update. So I'm trying to experiment with how I feel about organizing the code in this way, where I'm really describing the actions doing on the underneath. There's still the HTTP um, um, verbs, but I'm trying to be more descriptive in it. I will always experiment move around. It doesn't hurt you to do a lot of refactoring. Now, this is an interesting one because now comment live on deliverable still. I think it does. Um, this goes there, right? And I think that now lives there. Um, back to that. No, next you did. Hold on. There's the thing. For whatever reason, McNet's decided that what you just asked was a link or something, so it started out. You should now be VIP. That apologies for that. Okay. Planning items. Points. The project is still called planning item. It's not. I'll rename these later when it's a little bit easier to get around. But again, I can change these things around later. Okay. So we move to the client now. Actually, let's rename everything in here. This will be comment on deliverable. It's actions. Why? You take some time off. Rider just breaks on you. Hope he's not getting tired. I'm restarting it up. So um, full in the name of full disclosure. So that should show. Catch up. What do I have to do? You're not gonna I have to transition every time. Oh, I do. Sweet. Okay. Fair enough. This streaming thing is tangled, right? Okay. So what I'm sharing there is I'm using Claude Code for the front end. It is not my talent, right? I have to admit it is not my talent. But Claude Code plus Figma has allowed me to get some of this design work done that I can't afford to go and pay someone who's really good at this, right? To design a nice UI UX experience and to get these ideas in there. So my intention is to build out the system nicest way I can possibly get it, so it looks like a product. Then get the product to be an actual product. And at that point, find the right people to do the right job. This gets me quicker. It gets me to my ideas quicker. It establishes the patterns quicker, and does okay. I know how to turn the prompt on. So I've got the prompt down on a little monitor to the left of me, so I can do that without affecting my screen space there. But then I've put it into a scene so I can show you what I'm actually typing, getting from Claude. And again, if there's any questions about my workflow there, again, you're more than welcome to ask. Spider's just not going to open apparently. Let's go and try that again. I'm trying to embrace using AI to make me more productive. And I think in this case, it's definitely making me productive. I don't even want to go like I've gone from what was this application to this with a whole bunch of new concepts in less than 2 weeks. There's things in here. This supports light and dark mode. I won't blind anyone. Don't worry. It supports. I've got the search box already to line up. I've got all these things that I didn't have. I was spending a lot of time navigating and trying to learn how to use the technologies properly, and I don't have that brain power right now. Right, so there's a lot of back end pieces to work on, and if I don't prioritize them, I'm just going to keep going slowly. So this is one area where I would definitely say AI is helping me. That being said, I am also using expensive board. I'm not using $20 version, so I'm not running out of tokens. I'm able to do lots of stuff with MCP. A lot of features it's giving me that accelerating my. Okay, let's go over here. Let's see if rename work now. So analyzing and done with it. Hello. Hello. How are you doing? Comment on deliverable. There you go. I did a rename. Good job, Ryder. Did something. So again, what we're going to do here is create a comment and we're going to give it the planning item identifier. We'll now rename that to deliverable identifier, right? We now need to rename this one to the deliverable identifier. And here we'll, in our table, name. Now this links on identifier rather than ID because the ID isn't necessary. I don't need to go and load the planning item. You've got a GUID, it will get put in there, and then when it goes to query and publish the planning item, that GUID doesn't exist. It's just not going to find it, and you're going to have a comment that's orphaned in it. That's the worst that happens there. So I have a planning item columns. So this, all that comments, planning item identifier. Deliverable identifier. Identifier and ID are not the same thing. ID is the primary key column in this database. Identifier is the publicly shared identifier that will be transmitted to the rest of the system. Okay, so identifier, integrations, deliverable identifier. So when we go and pull the deliverable out, iterate the deliverable, we will pull everything. Now comment added. We now need to change this. We might as well uh, publish planning item. So when you add a comment, you publish comments. All the comments get published out as they are. Whether that's necessary or not, I'm not too sure. Well, actually, it is necessary because you don't want to make a Kafka message too big, and comments can be quite large on their own. So this gives the capacity of, I think it's several megabytes a Kafka message can go up to, but I think by default it's pretty low. But I think a meg by default, but a megabyte is still quite a lot of text. So this will publish the comment, and this will publish the planning item that's necessary for that comment. So you get the data. Even if all you do is add a comment, you don't edit the comment, edit the planning item. We'll publish the deliverable identifier. Yeah, yes, I'm pulling up the deliverable. So we need the spec renamed by one thing identifier. Oh, backing. Well, that might seem like a really silly name, but this is important. When you're querying things for this, because of the state of the system, because of the state of the database and stuff, you have to pull this with no tracking so that it gets the actual committed version of it. Otherwise it's actually the old version. Yuku, hello, welcome in. How's the day going? Oh, that's for this content, but glad to be able to catch a live stream. Thank you, I appreciate you stopping in. Like a nice chilled out gaming stream, I would recommend. Even playing stressful games, still kind of calm and relaxed, so it's nice. Imagine how much code you could fit on the screen without all the white space. I know. Yes, my spacing will trigger people. So yeah, deliverable by identifier, no tracking with details. So this is I pull all the details and there's no tracking on it, right? So it's just telling me at a glance that this will. Oh, very welcome. Appreciate you coming in. Um, Have you here. So the all these includes will pull as joins on the database. They'll pull more data through, so it's with details and it's no tracking. So I'm just trying to be explicit so that I understand it. So that's my standard. No tracking details. It does make for quite readable, quite long. Yep. Um, okay, so comment on deliverable is now the deliverable language. And and when you create a comment here, it just publishes a comment added. That comment added is what triggers these things. So they do happen asynchronously. They do happen um, background services. So the comments added, and we've told the client, "Yep, we got your comment. We're all good," which is true. We've got the comment. We only publish these events when that happens, and we get a little bit of security there. If any of those pieces fail, we can retry the messages. We have the outboxes, etc. The only things the outboxes don't do right now are scale. So if I was to scale this service up, it would be dangerous because I could potentially process multiple versions of the message, or I could um, glide and lock up on them. So that is a future challenge. It will be a good problem to have. I think it can still process hundreds of messages over the course of a few minutes. I'm going to hurt the system. Okay, so my refactoring has broken my unit tests. Barely. Deliverable identifier. Take care, Manets. Thank you very much for stopping in. And you did link something before. You asked a question, but all I got was asterisks. If you were asking a question, I didn't get it. Well, you are a VIP now, so that won't be a problem. If you still wanted to provide that, unfortunately, thanks to bots, I still locked down the stream pretty hard. These tests should still. And commenting on a planning item. We'll rename the test again, but it shouldn't break. The behavior of the test should be commenting on a deliverable. Like I said, it's going to take me. No, well, I think you're using ASP.NET because it's using. Well, it is using ASP.NET Core. This is using fast endpoints, which is over minimal APIs. So it's that branch of .NET. No controllers, um, nothing like that. Yeah, there is actually another framework. I don't know which part of it is, like the Wolverine. I think it might actually be Wolverine, which is from Jeremy Miller. His name is. There is another alternate stack to a lot of this stuff. But I've never been brave enough to try it because it's a full, like, you can get into the whole mediator and event sourcing libraries and stuff, and he's got a full ecosystem, critter stack. That would be the only alternative I wouldn't know of to using ASP.NET. Okay, we have that. Now let's run that. Nothing else should have changed. I should still be able to add a comment on the client. Good night, Minets. Thank you very much for appreciate it. And let's go over to here. And now we're going to see if we actually can add a comment. I don't know if I've actually implemented that yet. So we might get to see some AI stuff sooner rather than later. Now this is taking a while because the GraphQL pieces of the application aren't started yet. once they start up, all them fire started running. The services are registering. Should waking up a little bit. Um, the, the app will generally respond okay, even if the backend's offline, um, because it does kind of just fail silently and then hold on to whatever data it's got. Or refresh will kick it in the pants a bit. Confidence is lacking. Right? You break my code again. There we go. It's all woken up. We're just taking a sweet time to get it. We have a deliverable. I think we can probably pretty much get rid of this. Discussions. Now, discussions coming soon. Discussions are comments. So again, I'm I could go and implement that piece, but I'm not going. I'm going to uh, remain kind of focused on using the AI and feeding my own path up here a little bit. Now, it might make a mess, right? It might make a mess, but let's see. So let's unpack that. So although that's up on the screen there, I've shared that as a scene. It's actually on a little 10-inch monitor down to my left. So apologies for my looking down. Mugenics, Mugenics. Who's playing Mugenics? Seto was playing Mugenics. Okay, nice. Okay, so we compacted that. So I want to how this comes. Deliverable. Uh, available. Available in the planning item screen. But we removed it. How much of that he understands? Crude humor, but rich in gameplay. Interesting. I've seen it come up in my Steam feed, but I haven't really. Going. This may take a few minutes. It may take a few seconds. I don't know yet. Not exactly super fast. However, it is, or it has been quite accurate overall. I can also connect it to Chrome, and it'll use Playwright if it needs to. So I've got MCPs installed. So it's got the front end skills enabled. So what I found is with those skills enabled with the MCP and stuff, the actual changes it will make, and I'll share the changes, have been pretty isolated. It's not gone wild and just, oh, I'm going to delete all your data yet. There's a few derails here and there, but but nothing major that I can't get back from, and I've not had to revert any. So yeah, and I haven't figured this part out of my workflow yet either. So I have this running, I have this working against this um, patient. I can't go and do stuff in here because I need this to be running to be able to have that working. So either I spawn a second version of processes so that this can continue running while I deliver code changes, or I have to come up with a new workflow. I'm yet to figure out what that looks like. Hopefully that some of that's readable on the stream. Um, not riveting content. I get that. I get watching it. Not riveting. Again, I'll figure out the pieces as I go. Um, right now is focus is on getting the planning item to become deliverables. Right, get all those planning item concepts out there, make it all deliverables so there's more consistent application. The language also flows as well. That's been one of my measures. Right, when I'm using the language, does it feel more natural? Because planning items felt like I still had more to explain, whereas deliverables generally feels better because it is a deliverable is a deliverable. It is something to be delivered. Um, there's not much more to say about it, right? Um, that being said, if I was working with somebody else and they were talking about it, does that language still work? I'm just using that measure, and I'm okay if I come up against it again where the language changes. I think it's important for me to do this exercise so that I understand. Okay, it might be a colossal pain in the backside. However, it does move the project forward. It does move the application forward, and leaving it sat in there as planning items. Oh well, that means deliverables, but it's really planning items. But we just didn't want to change the code. That's not an excuse, and I just hit go on that. So it came up with a plan. It told me what it was going to do, and I've just trusted it, and which is kind of silly. But it's identified that it's going to change 4 files. It's going to change the planning item service. It's going to change the GraphQL query. It's going to change the deliverable detail to add the comments component in there, and it's going to update the deliverable detail component to include the comments, and afterwards the tab panel is going to be there. And then it's giving me a summary of what it's going to do. It's also going to update the end-to-end test, and yeah, so now it's done that. It's changed that, done all that. It's updated the end-to-end test. All for it, it's done. Let me build to verify. So I've told it in a previous exercise when you've made a change to the code, of especially the display, the behavior, you should make sure it builds and runs, and also update any tests. So here you can see service endpoint. It changed the service endpoint to API/deliverables for the comment post endpoint. It imported the comments components that I'd already componentized that piece. Whether that's going to be in the right structure, we'll figure that out afterwards. It replaced the discussions coming soon placeholder with app comments, and it updated the discussions tab test to expect the comments UI instead of the old placeholder. It churned. So if we go into one of these now, go to discussions, there we go. And it's actually done the query as well, because it was a component. Um, so allow estimation of tasks. I don't. Should allow developers guess hours. Should just be relative difficulty. Save that. Did we break? We broke. Invalid column name deliverable identifier. Oh dear. You know why that is? Because I might have written the script, but I didn't run the script. Helps if you actually on use ls.planning go ah one day I'll get a keyboard that fits with me. Okay, so if we just try that again, That really break the screen? Interesting. We save that. That's saved. That came back fine. It gave us our identifier back. So every single save to the system will give you the identifier of that thing that you just added, or yeah, that you just added as quickly as it possibly can. That's kind of what I commit to doing. So that your information is captured and we give you the identifier back so the UI can track it. So now the UI can let go because it's got all the data it needs, right? It's got everything it needs locally. There's no tertiary, secondary data it needs. But now it can show that. If I were refreshed though, because of eventual consistency, that won't show up. Potentially, it might do. It might have got it there by the time I finish waffling. But if I refresh, it might disappear. Nope. And that's because it posted it twice. I've still yet to understand that behavior. But if I look at the database, if I look at the Kafka thing, look at comments, I think they both go through, which is an interesting challenge because I'm not sure where that retry is happening. Um, the client posted it, it came back with an error. But it came back with an error. It couldn't save to the database, which means it didn't even try, it didn't put it into an outbox because it couldn't save to the database. So we do order by, you can see those two comments, but they're a minute apart. So it's as if the first one actually held on and retried itself. But if it was, it's not like it submits it twice. Yeah. I'm not going to panic about it. It is what it is right this second. The worst that happens is of that data. It's never duplicated this data, which is the identifier of the comment. So when the planning item publishes, it will publish the list of comments attached to it. There we go. Okay, so comments are working again. Got that working. Went through the AI. Oh, there's our errors. The changes infrastructure. What did you error on? Rating over content change. Document element is missed by non-null property last event body. This is a benefit and a curse of designing the system this way. I have a system that has pieces of it that are done outside of the core piece, right? So calculating what changed, which might seem kind of silly, being that I know what changed because I just performed the action, is not the responsibility of the planning component itself. It's not the planning, it's not the tickets or the tenant management or the tasks components to decide what changed about what they've done. The reason being is that I might not want to expose a lot of the data. So I might capture internal data in the planning component of the application that I don't want to expose or concern myself with distributing to the rest of the system. What happens is when something changes in here, the changes consumers um, will pick those out as well, and they're participating members of the Kafka consumer, and they'll pull those changes out. Say, okay, let's calculate what the difference was because I trapped this version, I snapshotted a version of this object last time it came through. Let me check what's changed, and then what I'll do is I'll manage what I should publish to the wider system as having changed. This also decorates it, adds extra information, and the communication system and the communication systems both pick off of that. I could solve some of this if I went with more event sourcing planning piece because I could manage the events better and infer data. that has crossed my mind recently of changing this again to be event sourced. However, I decided against it for now and to proceed with the existing design because ultimately the benefit this system as it stands is if I later on decide to change the entire way one of these components works, I can build a brand new component in the system, build a component in the system in a completely different language, a different framework, anything. But I can build an entire different component and then just swap over when I'm ready. So I could A/B test it. I could put it into the gateway, and I could have 50-50 get onto one system, you get onto the other, and your workflow goes that way. Um, there's all sorts of options. So I decided that I wouldn't mess around with event sourcing at this point. I think that's a little bit too much. Actually, I realized that turn off the prompts. So um, that's going to be a challenge for me. So yeah, when I posted this message, all the way, well, it went through twice, but event sourcing would allow me to take off a bit of the load there of in terms of not having to calculate the changes and decide what's changed outside of that. Um, the way that will work in the long term is that the changes components will calculate the differences, and then the notifications piece tracks what you care about on an individual thing. We're going to get to alerts as well. I need to remember to do alerts. I started putting the infrastructure in. The last thing I want to do is forget that I did it. For alerts, you will be able to say, "Hey, I care about this particular version of this one has this." So you'll be able to go in here, say, "I care about the status changing," and I want to say if the status changes to ready for planning, I want to be notified. Um, eventually, you'll be able to toggle how you want to be notified on it. But this does work. This will push a notification quite far through this. But again, the concept is to be able to be flexible there and say, hey, I care about the planning item um, changing to this status or changing to this person or um, you know being high risk. And I care about it enough that I want to be emailed the moment it transitions into that state. So as the system calculates things or updates things, those things will get produced as events in the system. The change will be inferred, and the system will react. Right? That's the purpose of that. So by doing it that way, I don't have to put the load of who's changing or what or who cares about the changes in the individual components, larger system. So in theory, I could actually have it so that I coordinated. So, if a an item doesn't move in a week, an implementation part, a task doesn't move in a week, and but a planning item is now marked as high risk, then do this, notify someone. So I can do those things without affecting the core data collection. These things can added on. The system can behave. And again, the benefit that is the way this works is that this view of the system is calculated based upon all um, events and changes. So we end up with the view that we have here, but we could actually have many views without any changes. Okay, we got a comment. Yes, it duplicated. It won't do that again. That was something to do with the error state and where it was being captured or trapped. The retry went through. I'm not quite sure why that happens. I don't know of anywhere in the system that is retrying that action. Because again, it added the right timestamp. Um, unless entity framework holds on to it um, and that session was kept open, and then when I saved, it committed and flushed it, and that came second. If that's true, then I need to understand A little bit more about entity framework lifecycle, because that should have not cost a request. Very Yoda method. Yoda method. Why is my brain not ready? Okay. I'm too tired for bad jokes. this was probably not the smartest thing I've ever done. But get there. Um, I will take breaks throughout the stream. I'm not doing 3 hours straight. So let's get got comments working, questions are working. That will be threads eventually. That will be you'll be able to attach things, format text, etc. So that will be more readable. Definitely want that. I think I just need to proceed and get through the planning item. Make sure that's all working. That's going to be patient. You this is going to be challenging. I think there's something there was some ridiculous number of times that this thing I don't use never access. I probably don't use this event right this second because ultimately this should create some sort of notification or do something else. So I probably intend 20 usages. This will be deliverable. Uh, Deliverable dated. Let's remove was that. Deliverable. Actually, there's no need for deliverable beyond that because you can only have a review date on a deliverable. So yeah, deliverable created. So that's redundant. That's just noise for the sake of noise. And this one isn't a thing yet, or not really a thing. I probably want to remove this because otherwise it's going to get further and further out of date. The idea of this is a tickets piece. There is actually the working kernel of a ticketing. The idea was always that you could inject actual stuff into the workflow from the ticketing side of things. So at some point in the future, I will build a ticketing aspect to Kaizu that would allow you to manage port backlogs, etc., and then promote things out of ticketing into product or delivery. Thank you for the follow, Xeno404BR. Welcome in. If you have any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, like to know more, you're more than welcome to ask. Hanging out. So I'm going to continue this because it does give me that piece. It would be great to be able to get to a Kaizu ticketing piece. I think there's a lot of stuff on the planning aspect first before. So deliverable created from, and again, the concept here is that deliverable side of the ticketing side of the system would produce an event that would get consumed in here and processed and then generated as an action. So this right now it kind of there's an external piece here. which I'm not going to refactor. But this basically creates an HTTP API, an internal API that the ticketing system invokes to do that. So it's like it's its own thing. I'm not certain I would stick with an HTTP system because then it's kind of a weakness as well. I'm hosting an internal HTTP endpoint just for actions against this. Um, I'm not I'm not sold on the idea. I'm not totally against it, but I'm not sold. From a resilience perspective, from a messaging perspective, HTTP does don't. I'd have to queue them or manage them as kind of their own outbox. Um, there's enough technology going on. Keep me busy for a long time. Okay, so we've updated those events, those internal events. So now these subscribers, these will have. Really didn't rename these. Um, Deliverable created, deliverable updated, and factor as well as refactor everything. Uh, hmm, that's an interesting. Ugh, I still dislike it. So the challenge with naming the folder the same as um, the same as the event that I'm capturing um, is that I can't have to alias it when I use it properly because there's no way I'm using fully namespace. Um, fully namespaced types of fully qualified types. Brain. No. But here, I need this to say what the event was that triggered it. So I'm capturing that. So even in the receiving system, you can go back and see the event and see, oh, it was triggered by this actual event. That's where it came. So ultimately, I could put some level of metrics or tracing around some of these. This thing happened because of an event that triggered this, and here's how it triggered. So I could go back and do it. And this needs the same thing. It just needs qualification. Um, Using deliverable updated application equals that, that, updated for. It's a bit cheaty, not exactly clean, but it is better than having the fully qualified names. Okay, so let's run that. Oh, let's build that. Make sure everything builds okay. Um, okay, run the tests. Make sure all the tests pass. No, I tested. Why didn't planning item integration event is published? We'll create it from the ticket deed. This one, this one's the least important, but I'd like to make sure they all pass still. It does say the system behavior, right? Um, Finding out parameter count mismatch. Notification. Parameter not even at this. Subject here is the publish integration of hidden. Oh, that works, Luke. That's not that's not quite correct. Um, subscribers, hang out. Where are you? Oh, in the internal application. Yeah, this was another nastiness because I think it references planning out planning. Okay, so it's still not bad. It's not completely busted. It's not quite correct because it gets loaded out of this piece and this post. It's kind of like a dual path. Probably shouldn't. I can't test this. There's nothing in the system to handle this, but I don't want to delete the tests. I want the test to pass. Planning item is produced from that. Planning item parameter count mismatch. Object. Oh, okay. Okay. I get. I get why. So, um, so this object builder, the way it works is so this deliverable, it's sealed. You're not meant to be able to create a new instance of it or change the properties on it without using the controlled methods. However, you don't want to skew your test data by using the method you use in the code to create it. And you don't want to change the class itself to account for the test. I'm a big fan of not changing my code to accommodate a test. Just doesn't feel right. Um, what's going wrong in this case? And I think it would have been failing before, so I probably didn't run all the tests before. Business justification equals period. Doesn't matter in context to this, but you need to at least provide it with all its data for this to work. So these, I have to know what the properties are of this object to know which properties are going to get set. This may still fail. I may be missing. Let's see. Oh, there you go. What was that? That same? Nope. They should pass now. But what that does is it actually uses reflection to construct the object using its private constructor. And you have to, and that's why it's failing, because you have to pass in all the parameters of the constructor. So at the very least, you have to pass that. If it finds properties with that name that it can set, it will set them as well. So it does look for those fields. It's not the best piece of code I've ever written, but the same is very powerful in terms of testability because I can build an object that has no public constructor, and I don't. There's a word for it, right? If you are kind of, I don't know what the word is, but if you're kind of messing with your um, in there. I don't think I can trust the test effectively if I'm also changing the code to do the tests. So it's kind of a push and pull that I don't like. A scaling failure, maybe, yeah, that would make sense. But again, if I had to do that, I'd have to create a public constructor so I can construct an instance of the object for testing. But by creating a public constructor, I also now um, I also now make it so that you can create an instance. If you come along as a developer to try and write the code, oh, we need to create a new deliverable. Oh, you go in your code. Oh, when this event happens, I need to create a new deliverable. So you go var oh, deliverable equals new deliverable. I can do that now because the test has modified the code to make it possible. So rather than do that, jump through a few reflection hoops. Object builder is a much cleaner pattern testing. So, yeah. This will probably be something similar, and I probably need to put on, yeah, that's deliverable. So this means that I didn't actually. I thought I'd run all the tests, and I hadn't run all the tests. So that's just a discipline. I did not do diligence. Happened. Boy. Um, these are all going to be. These are all going to be D. It's changing the language. That's all I'm changing. I'm not changing behavior. I don't expect these tests to fail. Um, let's have a look at planning item. D. That's why I didn't do a find and replace. Associated project. Oh, that's in the view. Oh, go change it. Oh, we're changing that. That would be very bad. The view hasn't been changed yet, so that's the next phase. Once I've got these tests passing, I can move to the view. That's going to be the painful part. Oh, main. What? Object builder deliverable. Yeah, same thing. Deliverable. No, it's business justification identifier grid. A business justification is going to be a table that is generated somewhere. I haven't decided where it is yet. So right now that's in the view side of things only, but it produces the identifiers, and the rest of the system doesn't care about the data because there's no impact on it. Again, if that mattered, the systems that need to make those decisions will make those. Planning system should not react to a business justification rule because the planning system knows about planning. Um, that's the way I've built it so far. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know. Always move things on later. But gut feel, business justification. um, I felt that aligned pretty well. Showed you that, right? Yeah, we've talked about this. I think. Can't remember the last time I showed you it. But yeah, business justification. Is it contractual? Is it Tuesday, Wednesday? Um, kind of a right, and it will go into waiting. That is the important thing. It will go into waiting the need in an effort to make it uh, unable to be manipulated. Not it, it will not. Even if you can't just change the numbers, they change globally, and everything offsets. And then what we'll do is we'll make it so you have to set a priority to one over the when we get to add your applications. If you want to do because it's this customer, go ahead. If you want to do that to your system, you can do that. Um, Perfectly valid. Largest system builds now and runs. 466 tests. I cut out a bunch of tests when I deleted these services. There was a lot more tests around those pieces, but we'll get them back in eventually. Okay, so we have I'm going to take a quick 1 minute break to stretch a little bit. I'll be right back and we'll continue on with getting the second half of this done, which is you done. Um, I think we can get this done tonight, and then it's on to the more fun stuff. I've got deliverables in, so I'll be right back. Okay, that should be me back. I'm Tardigrade. Hello, how you doing? Welcome in. How are things? How are things? If I didn't know any better, I'd say this BRB screen is what your reaction to most of my work. No, the coffee machine. The coffee machine is wishful thinking. Um, I just so again playing with AI, I was like, I've got a theme going, and I was happy to build the. So yeah, the getting started screen and the BRB and the ending screens, are all on themes. I had some fun with that. Continue. Rename. Planning. item is deliverables. Right. Running. Good. School's out for the week, so I'm finally able to catch some streams. For the BRB music, it reminded me of Tron Legacy. It is from a site that Joy. It's one of the free track things. Credit it on. I don't know how to credit stuff properly on Twitch because you don't have a place to put it, but there's actually some good music on there. Joystock. Apparently, as long as it's credited, it is. Now, what you need is to do is make time change with the current time in the. Yeah, AI, write this for me, please. Commit and push. Get that off my machine. Case safe. It would be nice one day to, but okay. So things should run still. Good. This is clean warning. 51 files, yeah. This is such a bad message. Not cleaning very much up. It's like 2,500 errors apparently. But they're not. Oh, maybe this reduced them. That let me commit that without any warnings. You should still be able to use the system. Come on, system. Come on, wakey. Okay. So we can still navigate through planning a backlog. Actually, let's make the final step of this. And we can edit a planning item, deliverable language. So again, business justifications, what I started to add here before I started moving all over to deliverables. I got that in place. So right now you have internal, operational, pension, revenue, and contractual. The idea being that these will end up weighting this. I frequently tell my school lads I'm yip. These days I'm scared of yipping a computer because if it breaks, buying a new one will, I have to sell body parts to get a computer like this. Cost of memory and stuff. So yeah, the business justification or the alignment as it's labeled in this one. So I think alignment actually works pretty well, but business justification for right this second is going to be used into the calculation of what the risk is. So the idea being that if the review date is close, but there's work being done and it's not on top of us right this second, then it will be lower priority. If it's past, and right now this isn't being played into, but the idea again, you can't game the system. The system is overall the organization, and if this starts to become the thing, like everyone marks it as contractual or retention because retention has a higher priority potentially. Like this doesn't indicate to the product manager what the business potential is around there. They just get to set the alignment. and that alignment is what yields the result. So it'd be you get called out on it. Basically, social went through this process and got through, it, and it's like the shaming basically from the rest of the team when you try and game the system by trying to get things done quicker because you put them as a more um, higher priority alignment would skew things. So number of items number of items done plus number of items attached um, plus the alignment or weight scores eventually. Right now, these are all skewed because they're all passed and they've got no work on them. So there's nothing, even though they're defining. So eventually, these will go into playing to this risk, and the risk is what will get to the business. You know, there's a lot of high risk items. I really want to review this the whole because there's a lot there. But let's remove the planning items finally. This is a scary commit. I don't think there's anything left on the screen that has behavior other than the alerts, the notifications. Let's do that first. Let's get the prompt up. Ah, I get it. There we go. I'm glad I looked across then. That would have been bad. Streaming to a BRB screen. Um, okay. We've cleared, we've compacted the chat. We've got that down. So what we're going to do now is ask it to move the actions. But actually, that does beg a question. That best done there. I don't like the pencil icon. I don't like the idea of adding another icon there because it's cluttered. But a menu, do we put the alert notification in here? I think we do. Let's go here. We're going to do this. I'm going to ask for some guidance. So let me change that. I feel my workflows. Because I'm doing that as an overlay, so you can still see the prompt that I'm doing without me dragging it up on the screen and moving around everything. That kind of a nice setup for this. So let's go to Figma. Let's start another make. And Figma make is Figma's AI. I'm going to paste in that screenshot we just did. I am trying to establish a way of indicating. I'm trying to concept system. My grid. Still trying to learn my way around. How am I going to prompt AI? How am I going to do the best possible way? So, but we'll get there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to paste this. Well, I believe that a user is not going to go through. I agree. Now, again, eventually, what I will do is have the ability to say, I care about all planning items that meet the criteria. That will be the long-term focus there. So you don't have to watch an individual planning item deliverable. Anyway, I'm going to call it Liquid Sky multiple times. Kaizu is rebranding of it. right now, I'm flexing that behavior. I'm flexing that skill, design, because there's a lot of stuff to still go into that. It's still not perfect. It's still got a lot of pieces, back end and front end, that need to work. Um, but um, I don't expect you to go through the entire grid, but eventually you'll be able to say, "Oh, I here's my parameters. I care about all deliverables that are for this initiative, marked as contract, that review date is past 5 days, so or is within the next week, etc." And be able to say, "I want a report of that. I want a dashboard of that. I want an instant notification when something moves." All those things I want to make. It's just going to take a while. I believe that a user is not going to go through the entire grid clicking on. So I want to move behavior to detail screen, also attached, but I'm not certain. Actually, the rest of my ability to click through random things. The things get me. But and more of my colleagues from this job add me onto LinkedIn than my colleagues in my previous two jobs combined. Please produce some ideas as to how I might indicate to the user that they set a notification uh, uh, changes. Livable. Do something else then. Very pertinent. If the if there are already notifications enabled, good. Great. Let's see how it does with my waffle there. Yeah, I'm still trying to get my bearings on this. Like, trying to get an idea of um, how I want to do this. Now, what Figma Maker here will do is it'll produce an actual React app to demonstrate this idea. So let's see how it comes up, what it comes up with. And I can't take the code, but the next step is pretty impressive. It works. Now I'll create an interactive demo that showcases different notification UI patterns for the detail screen. Oh, that's an interesting pivot. Ooh, going to give me options. It's funny. I've come to know my morning audience, but I don't know who's likely to watch in the. It's been a long time since right, so it's kind of a pivot. But I'll continue to say, if you are watching and you are interested in what I'm doing, you'd like to learn more, or you have any thoughts, questions, or opinions on what I am doing, I'm more than welcome to share. I'm happy to talk about this stuff. I do not need to be productive. Um, People can benefit from digging in and understanding more about why I'm doing something. I want to be able to share. Not pretending I'm going to teach you anything. At the same time, my perspective might be helpful. Okay, here we go. Hey, Stoic. Welcome in. How are you doing? Stoic? streaming streams. Saturdays mainly. Sometimes there's dev streams during the week at the time, but plays retro games, all sorts of. I've seen many games on these. All right, got hit with a nasty snowstorm, so I've been digging out. Oh, ouch! Never fun. We have watch. That's it. That's the oh no action bar. Action bar with an icon that appears. Um, and a badge. You're watching this. Watch this deliverable. Yeah, watch. Oh, where's this? Oh, get notified of changes. That's not a bad design. Ooh, that's not a bad design. I like that. Don't like that it's that right. Smart banner. Stay informed about this deliverable. You're watching this. So, quick demonstration of Kaizu. Stoic. If you, I don't think you've seen this in a long time. This is my project management and planning application, now named Kaizu, was previously named Liquid Sky, and it allows you to track deliverables and requirements, tasks to those requirements, discussions. Eventually, you will be able to do meetings. I do know that Teams and Google Meet offer solid APIs for me to use that, so I can schedule meetings from within here about a specific thing, which is nice. Dependencies, if an item has any dependencies, actually, I don't even, I should probably indicate that. Indicate on, here. This is sadly 2 weeks of playing with it to get me visual as it stands now, but I am having fun doing it. You can filter down. That's that bump there, the visual bump is node pass clicking in there. I've yet to figure out why this control gets the node pass button. Something about that control, even though it's a standard control, it is slightly different though. It's got a wider drop down, so I need to go back to that. Yeah, you can do all that. So maybe, maybe all on, but it says all owners. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But the idea here is you start with initiatives. Initiatives are concepts, they're ideas without definition. And right now, all you can do is start a title unexpected because these are business level things, the goals and objectives. From there, you go to the planning phase, and from here, you create deliverables. The deliverables are components of work that go towards building towards that initiative, or they can be standalone as well. You can create a deliverable that has no initiative because it could be more one-off. And when you go into a deliverable, you can attach requirements to the deliverable, and with the requirement, you can attach tasks. And tasks are what is actually worked upon. So these can be as granular as you want or quite large pieces. The concept being here, you might not end up with one development team or one group of people being responsible for delivering the requirement. You might have DevOps, you might have QA requirements, you might have dev components to that. So each team can add their relative tasks to this, and those tasks can be tracked as part of the larger requirement. That requirement feeds up into the via the deliverable. So you can keep a track on, and ultimately there'll be Kanban boards and all sorts. So you're able to see at every level where things sit in the overall flow. So you can edit the requirement, and the requirement right now is just simple. Here's this. An initiative will have stakeholders. It will have, um, who's involved in it, and those people will get the ability to be notified, etc. Once you start working on it from an implementation perspective, the developers have their backlog still. And this is, focused by team, so you can narrow it down. And this is ready for development, assigning tasks to Team Alpha, so that Team Alpha can come in here and say, okay, this is what we need to do to achieve this. Now I'm missing a piece here. I'm missing the fact that it should be showing me if it comes from a deliverable, because again, you can add tasks standalone as well. Um, when you're doing this, having the the actual requirement and the deliverable that you're focused on here is also useful information. So as you're planning it, oh, this is this task, this is relative to this, and here's what we want to do. So this could be very technical, right? Whereas with Jira, when you're writing stories, the general advice is don't write technical stuff in there because it's not business friendly. This stuff can be focused on just what you're building, so you can build it and deliver it. Um, Once you've gone through the backlog, you can move things into the boards. And here we have sprints. So update planning item receiver in view. That's done. I can drag that over and say that's finished. Yep, I can drag that over and say it's finished. And now I've got a clear board, right? So I go back to here, say what's ready for development, update the UI. Okay, that's good. I want to move that to 14 sprint and I want to assign that to Andrew. Save that. Now that should have disappeared. We'll go there. That's now in and I can edit that and see the tasks that I've got laid out, etc. And I can put an estimate on it. This ultimately should not be available once it's in the sprint because you have to change your estimates. And it's put days on there for me, and it shouldn't be days. That is a number. That is not days. Um, you're using pointing. That's a point. If you're using days, that can be days, but it should be just a number. Um, and the purpose being that I don't want to be opinionated about that right this second. Um, if you want to estimate hours, fine, go ahead, be wrong 99% of the time. But if you want to estimate effort, you can estimate effort. So you can go in here and virtually look for, and that now has a 3. I can move that progress. So work goes through there. It is, yeah. But the ultimate goal is that what the system will do is as you put effort estimates on things, it will track the amount of time in the background, the amount of time it takes to move through the cycle to the point where this is ready for deliverable. And it will use your calculated velocity in the background to indicate risk at this level. So at this level, based upon the number of the amount of effort the team has estimated and is still outstanding, and the amount of stuff they've done and have made progress on, do these dates come right? So trying to give the idea to the business as soon as possible without having to communicate it. This might be at risk. You might want to keep an eye on this, or it's challenging. It's not necessarily a giddy up to the team. It's it's meant as an indicator to them without having to go and ask people to kind of guess and whatever. Um, the entire purpose of this system is to increase the visibility so that people don't need to be scared of where they are, and encourage those estimates more accurate by allowing the teams to actually build out the work they need to do, estimate the work in the way they need to, rather than trying to align it to the business requirements, directly to business requirements. Like if this was a story, you've Jira does support this through subtasking to some respect. You can create a story in Jira, and then you can task it out. But that story has a point on it. So um, yeah. So the idea again is that this is the perspective from the development team, development, DevOps, the DBAs, whoever's working on the application piece works in here. You're working on the planning stuff and the oversight. You know, the day to day, the product managers, etc. They'd be in here tracking things. Again, review dates. This is due to be looked at. What sort of progress we've been made, so the product manager can bring things back into sight at the right time. And then once things get put out, you know, you might have several requirements on some of them might be deliverable before you've finished all the requirements, right? You might be able to finish a set of requirements and deliver them. So the delivery stage will be for tracking those things that are being scheduled to be delivered. So once you've gone through implementation, gone through this board, the idea being that these will shift to be delivery now. So you'll be able to get a perspective of, okay, these things are waiting and pending, how do we get them to? So again, you can that perspective. So if there's things to like, if there's PRs and stuff that are pending, they wouldn't be here. They'd be they're not done. So, but once the PR is not pending and all that sort of stuff, it appears on here as now this can be delivered or can't be delivered until these other things have happened. So we'll be able to chain together dependencies and requirements. And again, for initiative to planning to implementation to delivery. And when it's finished, dated and product, the leadership overall can see these initiatives are going well, these initiatives are off track. Do we need to move more resources to people? Does it help? You can ask the right questions of the right people at the right time and not have to keep asking developers, the people implementing the system, where they are on things. There we go. There's my rant over. um, I genuinely do care about trying to smooth that out, and it is I find very energizing. So now I've got a decision to make. What design am I going with here? It's given me 5 options. I'm kind of keen for this because the existing design, this is the previous version of this backlog left here for test. So again, you click you click the bell, click status. That will track the status change. You'll get notified on status change. If you say include parameters, you can say, does it change from this to this, or does it change this? It gives a lot of different levels of granularity. It seems pretty solid. I think so. I'm not going to catch everything. My measure of this will be when I can dog food another project using this. So my game library app, when I can build out my game library app using Kaizu, that will be my measure of success. Then I can practice it, I can go through it, I can have other people involved if I want to test and kick the wheels, right? The old dog food. Yeah. So ready for planning. So this would say, hey, I want a subscription to be notified of when this planning item or this deliverable changes to ready for planning. Whatever it came from, if it moves to ready for planning, I want to be notified. That's the design there. So that kind of fits with this design. I kind of like it, but in the same, I don't like its position. It sits below goal. It sits above goal, but between the information. Is there a version of that that works for both? Open to opinions. That one I don't hate. That one I don't like at all. That one, I don't know where it's. It's just doesn't know where that's just out by the toggle button. There's more to it than that. Kind of like this because it's in line and doesn't revolve around pop-ups. What do I like? I like the settings on design, but I am not sure about the position. Oh, it already identified that it actually broke that. So if we watch it, I said fix me, it knows that drop down is broken. It knows it's generated bad code. It hasn't compiled properly. So now it'll let it get ref forwarding errors with a button in drop down menu trigger, button nesting issue and notification approach, where a switch button is inside a collapsible trigger button. Oh, so even version 4 was broken. Ads are going to start in 2 minutes. I apologize if you are ads. The problem with wanting to be productive in these streams is the fact that I will not spend a lot of time on things like bots and that. Oh, I will have to just keep an eye on the ads. No administration. Present, so no, mods. And total views on YouTube. I'm making it big today. Um, from now on, I'm actually going to stream all these as well with the same title. Just decided I'm not even going to mess around with the title. It's going to be product dev in public, building a project management site, and that's how we're going to go. Nice and easy. Software category. It's fine. Okay, so we've got this. Kind of like this, but I don't like the position. So where could that live? So I like the drop down. Why why wouldn't that automatically? Let's do. So where could that live? That's is again. Actually, let me give it distinct of behavior matter. Provided an example front presented toggle watch example. Friends have arrived and supper will be here shortly. Glad I managed to catch you all. Really good. Have a good rest of the stream and we'll catch you later. So thank you very much for coming in, hopping in. Really great to see you. Um, enjoy your supper. Enjoy hanging out with your friends. Thank you. Catch you on your next stream. Okay, so in this example, I can toggle, I can select, that's sorry, status change, use, add more detail from, from or, and, or, two field, capture. Like, fine, or, oh, it fits, 8, version. Not my current design though. This isn't my current design. This is my current. Let's go with let's go with that. I'm trying to find the balance of how much natural language affects the outcome. Basically, like if I use it as a conversation, I do know that a lot of it fluff that I might be able to cut out, but talking like that doesn't help me think. I also like how it's got Jeffrey Winky. Picked up some, but not all of the design. Um, yeah, the challenge. Um, but I do appreciate the fact that this gives me visual feedback. I'm able to get some results. I can see it. I can start it, and I know what I'm trying to build. I just don't have. But I have the ability to learn. I do not have the time to focus on this and try and build that back. Okay. Okay. uh, or collapsed. Blue promise. Oh, there you go. That's pinky to and that misbehaves. I like the design. Progress. And more time if you don't sleep. You sleep anyway, my boss. I'm offering to do more work then. um, oh. So here's an interesting one. Well, that's an implementation detail. I like this design though, but I don't like where it is. Um, I love that design. However, nice. It added it on as an extra piece. Um, where could you realistically put that though? It doesn't. Where does it fit? Oh, design. However, I get the collapsing as well. The collapsing does help, but it's like inline parameter controls appear contextually when enabled. Clear visual hierarchy shows which fields are being watched. Lives in the detail screen, not cluttering the not can become tall with many fields of. We already identified the warning there. I do love this. Figma is definitely a good tool because what I can do is I can take this and I can move it over into my Kaizu branding page or my design page overall and tinker with it some more later there. I can export it as HTML if I want to. I can do all sorts in there. I can also just link to this and have Claude just say, "Here we go. Okay, watching. Eh, compact header button with modal. That might be the better option." But they had the toggle button and it had watching. Action bar. Don't like that design, which is funny considering I just suggested something. Um, that I hate. I hate the header badge. I love the settings panel. I dislike the smart banner. Yeah, it requires logic to determine when to show the banner made for entry. The parameters, compact modal, requires opening modal to see change things like that. I feel like there's not really an option. Um, I feel like it's pretty much because there could be many fields on these, and you'll be able to do the same thing for although initiatives. Yeah, I don't think the radio toggles necessary anymore. Not very logical. What I'm gonna have to learn is how to coordinate the design that this produces, the actual design that I implement. Logical to toggle the notifications at the top right hand side of the dialog. Um, let's see if it calls it out. Let's see if it decides that that is on or whether I need to update the prompt here to be pushed back. I haven't done that before. Getting it to actually say you're wrong, way more useful. Um, yeah, when you're trying to get an idea evolved, having it say you're wrong about this, getting that feedback right, infinitely more from an idea perspective. It's this time, it's this wait time that I'm going to get frustrated with. Um, what I've chosen to do here, by the way, I've chosen to try and focus on these features. I think getting some of these out so I can get rid of planning items off this screen, then really focus on the planning items. Really focus on the planning item removal from the view side is okay. So what is usability fix? That's that version. Stop watching. Okay. Auto save. Enable notifications above to start receiving deliverable changes. Your field selections will be done or save all. Notifications enabled. Enabled. Okay, so it's educating me. So let's use the education. Perfect. I've created approach 8, which addresses your usability concern by showing 3 different interaction patterns side by side. The watching button itself controls on off. Dialog purely for configuring which fields. Stop watching button in footer to disable. That's an all out watching this thing. Status, or mapping was the number of things you've got selected. We won't get to that part, but yeah. Toggle at top takes effect immediately. Takes effect. There is separation between enabling and configuring. Auto save toggle at the top takes immediate effect. I like that toggle though sat there right on the X. I mean, I could space it out, but that's the most logical from a behavior standpoint, because it's indicating to you, hey, it's here. So field selections auto saves you change them. Just click done when finished. Most modern friction-free experience. Shows info message explaining auto behavior, and then finally save all. Everything toggle fields is staged until you click save. Shows unsaved changes indicator. More traditional explicit control can cancel and discard change, which is similar to what I have now, right? Essentially, what I have now over here is I can click that, I can click that. I can't, I don't think I can edit. Oh, can I? Does that work? Uh, yeah. Um, when I went away from doing this project 5 months ago, um, I was in progress of this, and I decided when I came back that I'd cut off where I was. So this is still half implemented. The concept is there, but the actual behavior is not fully there. Um, but I think it's closer to what I have now. Or do I want to go with what I've? I mean, this is most explicit. Uh, Fix for me. Let's get those fixed up. Oh, little log. I will be right back. Okay, that should be me back. Apologize for that. Little dog trying at my door. I want a wall full of overwhelming post-its. Careful what you wish for. Um, okay, I think this is the design. I believe that save all test my capabilities. But I'm considering this to be. It's not the end, not the end goal. And I get that putting some of these things in now probably not the right choice because the more advanced live save is probably better. However, um, doing this in this style now will at least give me the inspiration for later. Give me the option. I think it's better to do it. So yeah, I believe that save all aligns the best with my current product design and can we create? Can we create dependent design of just all style? Not gonna work. I always miss it. Or any, yeah, the letter I always miss. When I get up from the desk, I have to remember that I've got a mic on, and just in case I ever leave the mic unlocked, I have to remember to take the microphone away. Um, yeah, don't know what the range is. Um, um, but we're going to get this done. We're going to get this implemented, and then um, I want it as a standalone design because I'm going to point Claude at it, and at that point, I don't want Claude misunderstanding. I want to stream it every waking hour. No, no, I don't want to stream me going talking to my wife or uh, asking her what she wants to eat. The bold, the dull, boring stuff. Perfect. I've created a clean standalone final design with a save all pattern that you can easily reference it. It's now the default tab when you open the app. What? Best if you want explicit control and right? That's not fair. Just okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click share, copy the link. Let's see how Claude implements. Now. This is going to be challenging. Let's do prompt, prompt, share that, off that. Good. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, say, we need to introduce applications component running catalog. I don't put on the list. Oh, so we use the Claude Excel add-in to build a deep. We should definitely do that. It will revolutionize so much. I want to put it like that. I want to feel that it should be enabled. Well, have a design, Figma, reference, that. So I'm going to give it a link to that Figma design. It will be able to access that, pull everything down it needs to do. Yeah, go with save all method. Approach 8, 9. Right now, only status. Um, I'm going to give it that. Need to use our core schema design. Let's see how it goes. It's in plan mode. So we'll just give that a few minutes. And what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to be able to get past this. Oh, it's not supported. Awesome. Uh, it will work its way. I'm hoping to get past this phase of doing this a lot on stream so that I can be building the software and then demonstrating the behaviors. Is this if I have to keep doing this and I can't work on the back end at the same time because I'm changing the way that the UI works? If I'm changing the back end, I've got to stop and then blah 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 blah. it's going to get a little boring. Um, see what this interesting. So I'm going to put it on the screen because I think it will once it starts doing stuff, it'll be kind of obvious that it changes. Right now, this is running several different agents. This is running several different processes. So like 50K tokens and 60K tokens, exploring the detail page in the design, exploring the notification infrastructure. It's got them running parallel to try and speed this up. I think this is using Opus 4.6. Um, and I'm pretty sure the $20 version of this would have been out of tokens by what I've done. Um, this is at 13% of my usage and I have an hour and 33 minutes till reset and 0% of Sonnet. Over $50 retail balance. So this is continuing to look through. And it's reading the Figma, the make files. Downloaded, I think it downloads local versions as well. It actually is referencing the code that it produced, Figma, not just the visuals. So the code that I was testing and tinkering with is actually what it's references. Let me read a few more critical files to complete the picture. So now it's going to come up with a plan. 2.5 minutes, not too bad. But this is my least favorite part about using AI is this feeling of waiting, right? Now, if I'm doing other stuff, if I'm watching streams, if I'm playing games, I'm doing other things, that's awesome. I get more, you know, I get more on my time. I should gamify it, yeah. Whereas just put me Gallagher, put a version of Gallagher up on the screen at the same time, like the PlayStation with Ridge Racer. Little computer will. You mean gamify as in actually make it a game unto itself, not just gamify it? Sorry, my brain went immediately to I want to play games while I'm doing it. Supposed to be paying Anthropic more on multiple agents at the time I'm playing the others. True, true. I should be getting multiple agents doing what I want to do. But the thing is, I'm using this now to fill in a gap in my skill set. Right, my front end skills are clearly not where they need to be. I refuse to use it on the back end because I really do want to build that part out and understand those pieces intricately. I don't want to hand that piece over. So 4 minutes. Well, first I meant as a loading screen game, but now I'm thinking of a game where you have to progress to get more tokens. uh, if they can figure out how to get our computing power to doing things locally while we're doing that, like the what's it called, the research tools that used to get installed on your screen. So when your screen went into a screensaver, it would do the SETI and stuff. I'm pretty sure they would figure out. Oh, we could actually use some of your GPU or some extra resources you have available while we're doing this on our machines. A distributed token processing, like yeah, like BitTorrent for BitTorrent for token parsing. Yeah, I get it. Going to be insane. Give us a roguelike with God mode. You die, project is wiped. Yeah, I think project is wiped is still a risk. Models need to be useful or too big for most systems. Yes. Um, once I've got past this phase, my plan is to. So why do I always click yes on that? I meant to read the plan. I was doing a lot more, then I just started trusting it. It's about it picked out approach 8, variation 6, save all. It picked out all the information, figured out the assets it needs to pull, redefine notification subscription dialog, update notification subscription dialog, add styles for redesign dialog, add the buttons, fire up the dialog in the event, run it, verify it, test it. All looks right to me. Yeah, so I'm gonna get the framework machine installed. I think I'm gonna put a Linux distro on that and get LM Studio installed, and then put um, a model on that. Once we've done with this phase of getting the planning items, deliverables, I'm going to move to the initiatives, start hooking that up, and I think that is an area where some AI experimentation would be beneficial. Is it going to be fast? Absolutely not. But it will be. The framework is pretty powerful, enough to make it. Well, I only have 64 gig in it. If I didn't go the 128 and the extra money, and now I'm kicking myself because, well, RAM RAM prices went crazy. I just spent the extra couple of $100. Now tell it to merge and deploy. No, I'm not. I'm not letting it have control of Git. I'm not letting it have control of my backend code. That's my only thing. Oh, I wanted a watching button. Watching. Now this looks random. Like the edit icon's there on its own. Probably do need to make that not. That's life without succeeds. So it's gone. You see, you don't. Oh, you don't. You don't see my icon on. That's the downside of doing it. Capture the icon on the changes made, notifications, and this is what I'm saying. This version of Claude at the $100 level makes far smaller change sets than I was getting when I was using the $20 one. It definitely is better. Oh, don't you be breaking on. Let me shut that off. You got to remember that you guys don't see anything if I've got a big. Okay, so let's see how far it gets. Okay, why do I have an infinite load now? Error. Form group. That's a group instance. That's in one. Take a look at Chrome. Now, errors page. Got to be careful with how I treat this as well because um, when I was building the game library stuff out with more AI, which now I'm more confident with than ever building that out. Um, Come on. Um, it's using Playwright automation as part. Um, let's see how far it gets. It clearly knew it had to click the button. You'll need to log in manually. Okay, I'll log in. You have the credentials. I've let you have them before. Um, So it has control. It's using Playwright to navigate what it should be doing. It does have a Chrome plugin that it can use as well, so that's a possibility. I was saying something else a minute ago when I got distracted by that. Um, oh, it determined it automatically. I have to use Chrome. Well, but again, playbacks. Playwright is a fallback. You don't have Chrome. It can use Playwright to control the app. So it builds. What it's done is it's built a bunch of Playwright behaviors that it can follow, and it uses Playwright to control things on the fly. But I've also got it to build a full list of E2E tests. You reload the deliverable page. Oh, a smiley face. Hello, how are you doing? Notifications enabled. Status. Nice. Let's go to one that isn't in it, which I don't know now. In my testing, I've enabled it on pretty much everything. So there we go. Watch. Oh, that's not obvious, is it? Um, the watch button, and I don't have notifications enabled. Not very obvious. Have an action color. I am doing better than I have done in a long time. I started a new job. I got my energy back for coding. Still waiting on hospital stuff and art stuff, but I'm doing better. Action button for appropriate dates. You can press something. Yeah, I've got my energy back. I keep saying I've got my mojo back, but that sounds weird when I've got someone called Mojo in in the channel. Have to be mindful. I mean, the whole time. Okay, so what style do you prefer? Outline, primary, outlined info. Let's go with outline. Clear context and auto accept. I don't. I'm not at the phase, by the way, that I could happily leave this unattended for a long time. I would be more terrified, like putting it in a feedback loop for itself, of saying, "Hey, go and fix things." I've done it a few times. The end-to-end test is actually the one I did it the most. I was like, the end-to-end tests are failing. Um, if you can solve them, solve them. Keep working until you solve them all. I did it. Currently misting, apparently. As it finishes that. I did add an instruction that said every time you've changed the UI, you should make sure an npx build goes through without any error, because a few times it failed on me in that respect. Um, so watch now. Notifications, subscriptions, notifications disabled, notifications enabled. Click status, do parameters. I mean, they're kind of chunky. Um, let's change that a little bit. I'm not going to bring the screen up every single time. The prompt. If I'm doing anything particularly interesting, um, ask me. I was on vacay for a week from work. I come back and we have a new member of the team, and another new one has been hired who begins next month. My boss says stuff like this when I'm not here. You have opinions on people being hired. Um, I'm a big fan if you're part of a team of the team being involved in the hiring. I know that's not always the way, although you work in banking, so probably not. Probably not all stuffy way of doing things, but bothers me that stuff like this always happens when I'm not there. Yeah, I don't know. Just like new people. New people can be good. Um, I like me a fit all around is um um dialogue a little thinner, a little too thin. Oh, actually, let's do this one in a sec. Um, so now what we do is start a new. So I use the word so ultimately way too much. This is the design Claude ended up with. Can you add a little more? Well, I'm gonna read out everything I say. Everything I say. Um, people can be scary too. Got a new boss recently. And I think I can, I can, but honestly, I'm mostly worried about how the old people on the team will handle new people and new opinions. I generally like a bit of fresh perspectives and discussions. uh, Mojo will be talking about me being his colleague. Uh, so, um, um, we're a month in. No murders have happened. Fine. I should now feel less cramped. Boo. Um, Apologize for the ad break, by the way. We'll see what this does because I like the idea of Figma doing the act. That's just even more insulting. We'll give that a minute. You're back. See, you're back, and it tells me that the ad break ends in a minute. So I don't understand how it works. But anyway. Okay. Uh, so yeah, I'll let Figma run at that. Let's go. What's now? Oh, usability fix. Where's my design? Fix it for me. See, I think what's happened here is I've included it, and it's trying to merge it into design. I shouldn't have done. Um, Ooh, he said, "Fortunately." That's a good sign. I need to also fix the empty string values. Approach 7. I don't care about approach 7. I'm on approach 8, version 3. Now you've broken the screen. No, 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 no. No, no. No, what we're gonna do here, we're gonna all that done. We're gonna try and create. Oh, and you lay out cleanly for me. You know, I thought this 3 hours was going to give me plenty of time to get a lot of stuff done. I get all the refactoring done. I had like a list of stuff, and I've actually come out of it with more work to do. when I went into it, I swear I have no idea what my boss thinks. One moment I get the feeling that she likes me, the next I get and um, I think it's more um, like that. I don't think it's annoying. I think annoying is good. Annoying means that you're trying to do something, change things. There is a balance, yeah. Like you said, there's a line, there's a balance. But I think you need, especially in software development, if you have sheep, you can't deliver the best. You have complete tension, you can't deliver the best. You have to find that balance. From a boss perspective, it's like there's sometimes when you want to hear something, and sometimes when you don't want to hear it. So some things put obstacles in your way, and some things take them away. So uh, probably more like that. Um, like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Figma, hey, not Figma, I'm going to tell Claude now. Go look at that. Um, Figma has provided. Another option I do have, by the way, is I can actually hit this, and that will capture this. I can go and paste it in here. If I have it selected, I can tell Claude, hey, look at the thing I've got selected and implement that. So I've just kind of got used to this share thing because I don't have to do any copying. Um, Figma's provided a nicer design. I think we need to go with smaller filter style of the fields. And my boss is mostly absent, praising me most of the time. I feel that she stresses. Plus, she went through a divorce, and ah, that would add stress. But I don't think you necessarily have the right to pass on that stress to people who work for you. I think that's a thing. And so, Mojo, you've probably pretty been what blah, 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 blah. You've pretty much been watching most of the stream. Has the stream been pretty stable and quality been okay? Because according to Twitch, my bit rate's been red. So yeah, I think we need to go with a smaller filter out of the fields. That was a good topic. But I've been looking for a bit, but need to hop offline. That's the issue. All right, thank you very much for coming hanging out. Appreciate it. Hope you're well. Catch you soon. If you're ever gonna, if you stream, by the way, on Saturdays and stuff, you ping in my Discord. I would love to catch you. I don't often bring Twitch up on Saturday mornings. If you're ever streaming, ping somewhere that I can I can see you streaming. She isn't passing it on. It's more of feeling how she feels. Okay, I can't help but react to other people's moods. Asking her. I'll be back live either tomorrow or Friday morning. Nice. Okay, cool. Nice. Well, I will look out for you then. My eyes peeled. Or degram stories. You changed. You changed and then changed again, didn't you? So yeah, nice. Well, I look forward to catching your stream. Don't forget to go and give a follow. Always a great stream. Comment. Oh, thank you for coming hanging out. I appreciate it. Great to get back into streaming and see familiar faces. Especially evening streams. I haven't actually done evening streams in about 5 years. I used to do a lot more evening stream 4 or 5 times a week for about 4 or 5 hours. Um, Started playing my summer car last lot of you. That sentence could it could get weirder. I'm sure. I was in the sauna and thought of you. Okay, thank you. Now let me look at the status parameter component and understand how the grid filters select system. Let me also check the status select component and how column 2 those two selects are. My concern here is that I do a bit of a push and pull. The status field is actually used in um, the add of the deliverable. So this is John Horn, 77 months. My goodness. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. It goes well. Happy to be back. I had a dream. It was people telling me more often, Lauren thought of you as a massive compliment. Fair enough. If you are, I'm not sure that fits in the dream book, right? I dreamt that people were telling me they were in the sauna and thought of me. Yeah. So my concern is here. What's going to happen is I'm going to bring this up and it's going to look better. But the moment I go to edit, which again now this doesn't design doesn't like. The the status drop down will now be the wrong. Mr. Anhorn, this is what happens when you let me loose with AI. Been using Claude plus Figma to get the design of Kaizu. Art. Um, have a long story of, well, not a long, have a story. I'm all proud of myself. Mojo and I brainstormed a while ago. So yeah, I've overhauled UI, smoother, a little bit nicer overall. Trying to use Claude plus Figma to get it looking more like a product. Forgot that story, to be honest. Yeah. New Avril Lavigne song feels different. That's what, at least with AI, it's pretty good at using pictures. So in this context, I don't even. So I've got Figma working on things, right? So Figma's actually giving me uh, workable prototypes, which I can then just point Claude at and say, "Yep, use this," and I'm enjoying that workflow entirely. Also, allowing Claude. I will not let Claude in the backend code. Claude is hands off backend code. Even if I'm slower there, I just get to do more of it in batches because I don't have to worry about the way it looks. But using Claude, I've been able to revise some of the ideas, drill in on concepts, get all that sort of stuff done, and be much more productive. We're making development songs. Yeah. Avril Lavigne. Okay. Um, Working prototype for work that uses Jira and Figma at work to create the skeleton of a nice. I'm the idea of hooking up Jira and saying, "Hey, there's an idea here. Let's go and implement it." Just terrifies me because of what product managers come up with. um, that being said, once I've got past this phase, I've said it a few times now on the initiatives phase, I'm going to have a locally hosted LLM and prototype out actually building out an initiative off of that LLM. Challenge with that is what I want to do long term is hook that into particular tenants data and learn how to train or create vector databases, etc. I suppose I could do it that way. Create vector databases of the client's data so that start to um, if you go to create an initiative and some of the concepts are already covered in other initiatives or other things, it will give you a heads up as to overlaps and try and give you warnings on, by the way, there's a lot of behavioral similarities to this project, and you might want to consider um, refining the parameters of that initiative rather than creating a new initiative on all that sort of stuff. Trying to help you be more productive going forward. So I do have some ideas there. Um, that might be what I consider to be post MVP. You can click watch, click that, click status, do parameters. They look the same size. They don't look the same size, right? The brain's messing with one pixel. Fine. Damn it. They're aligned. Okay, left is definitely bigger. Okay. I don't use power toys. Yeah, that's definitely bigger, right? I know it has a measure. I have enough of it. I'm just being stupid. No, that just my eyes. They're the same. They are. I I never know how to turn fit. I really have to learn how to use. It definitely looks bigger. Flip it how? How am I going to flip an entire control like that? Okay. I suppose my paint skills are so amazing. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. I gotta finish. Okay, last effort. This has got to be the last effort 'cause I've got to go. I have to be good at finishing this. Just rotate, right? 180. Well, is that the problem? They're actually hold on. Need to be more accurate about that though. We take paint. Why are you so primitive? I do have a GIMP install. I should probably just use. But watch me struggle before. Never like this. Okay. Rotate 180. Nope, they're the same height. That is an optical illusion entirely. I'm convinced they're the same height, by the way. I've cut off the top of the grey, right? Uh, are they cut off part of the grey? But have I cut off that much that they are? Yeah, they are. Cut off that much. That much. Yeah, they're the same height. They are the same height. Okay. So if I do pairing, save all changes. Again, eventual consistency. I just need to like consistency. I need to make sure that updates. Um, but I'm almost there. So apart from some odd button colors now at this point because they don't match everything else, I think it's looking good. If you got one watching notifications, it doesn't record, it doesn't pull these down. I'm certain of that. Cool. Well, that's that for now. I'm going to go and get some food because I didn't eat before the stream. I will be back at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning at Eastern time for an hour and a half for work. Um, Thank you for coming out and hanging out and joining me for this stream. Fun. Again, if you're new to the stream, if you've not been in here before, I appreciate you out. If you have any questions, thoughts, opinions, there is a Discord. You're more than welcome to join and have a chat in. If you have any questions, again, always happy to sit and talk about this. Often hang out in Discord. Anyone is more than welcome. It's glad to see you back. Trap, thank you very much for coming out. Good to have you back. Could be worth keeping the border color the same and reducing the transparency of the background of the button. Yeah, we'll play around with that more. But again, it shouldn't be something I need to focus on right now because there's actually not a lot of behavior there. I just wanted to get it transported over. Glad I managed to join at a crisp 3 a.m. Well, George, thank you very much for coming hanging out at 3 o'clock in the morning. It dawned on me that you were up very late. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow morning and see you again soon. So take care all. Thank you very much. We need a raid target. We need a raid target to do this properly, right? People. It says 10 people in here. Who is streaming? Hoppinger is the only one in my list. Nope, slept all day. Need to read it. That'll be it then. Okay, so only going away. So going BRB. Okay, well I gotta pick someone. So we're gonna go Ray Boolean. He's doing game dev. Hopefully not finishing because it's a 4-hour stream. I will catch you all tomorrow. Not great rest of your week. Thank you for joining me. Radio Patrick, bad timing. I gotta go. See you later. Take care all. Have a good night.